Hey everybody, this is Devil Dog underscore 88 coming back on live. Going ahead and trying to get your all's opinion on Richard Nolette Jr. What is your take? Does he meet all the elements of what he has claimed? Hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? Didn't think I was going to come back on so soon, but I didn't know Sleuth was ending his live. So I decided, what the hell, let's go back in. It's a Friday. Let's get it, everybody. Where are we at? So I want to talk about Richard Nolette Jr. and kind of see where everybody stands on that. Are you convinced that he is the individual that we all think he is? Or is he just a few fries short of a Happy Meal? What do you all think? Do you think Richard Nolette Jr. really gave us some detailed information? What say you? I know what I think. And as a prior law enforcement, done many cases, I sure know that it's not normal to hear someone give so many details and not be legit. I'm just saying, everybody. So, where are we at? Today is Friday. Thank God it's Friday, as they would say. Come on, everybody. Where's all my devil pups? Where are all the devil pups? Let's bring them out one by one. Roof, roof. This has been awesome. Trying to get everybody's opinion. So, I guess I might as well go ahead and start now. So, what we're dealing with is a person came out a few days back and a couple of days ago and gave some very bold claims that literally his brother was the perp standing in front of literally Guthrie's door. Guthrie's door. He was literally standing right in front. He said and he claimed that his brother is the perp in the picture. Now, we have all been hearing everybody ask the question, why has no one come forward and claimed that they know this individual? Why has no one come literally telling the American people, I know that individual? I know that individual because of his walk, because of the way he hunched over, because of the way he bent over, because of his body shape and his head size. We all been asking that question. Why can't somebody identify him? And now we got somebody that has come forward not only to identify him as somebody he knows, but to claim that is his brother. I mean, you don't get any closer than that, right? Who's going to know? Who is going to know that person more than his brother? There's a lot of information here, folks. And we need to literally have that talk and figure out, was it legit? Or was he just mentally a little not there? Or was it a little bit of both? Why did he seem very scared? Why did he seem very worried? Why did he seem like literally, he seemed like he was in fear of his life? That's what he said. JTB is in the house. Good to have you, JTB. So think about that for a minute. Why would he be so in fear of his life? Because that's what he said. He didn't know if he was going to make it to his next birthday. He didn't know that if he was going to literally be here. We're back. Yes, we are. Groundsky, we are back. I didn't know that Sleuth Intuition was going to end his life that quick. So I thought, you know what? It's a Friday. It's a Friday, and this is where we can all chill out and have that conversation. We are literally trying to figure out if Richard Nolette Jr. is legit. I mean, we checked out his information, some of it, and others, streamers have checked out his information. And the individual that gave the interview, Sleuth Intuition, said a lot of his stuff, if not most of his stuff, came back legit. So then the question is asked, where's the investigation going from here? Are they going to search the Rose Canyon Lake? Should they? That's a no-brainer to me. Then the question becomes, are they having an interview with him? Now, earlier someone stated that yes, it wasn't verified, but that they were talking to him. Law enforcement was talking to him. The key is, were they or weren't they? So that's what this talk today is going to be about on this live. What is your opinion and what is your take on literally Richard Nolette Jr.? He has claimed that his family has been involved in the satanic cult, the evil satanic cult, for many decades. What do you all say? Bridget Clark, yes, I watched Sleuth's live video earlier. It kind of ended abruptly. Yeah, I ended our live stream early, Bridget, and glad you're here. I ended the live early so that everybody could go watch it because I wanted, I think it's important on what Sleuth Intuition is doing. So I ended the live early and I told everybody, and then only I watched it for, I don't know, 20 minutes and then it was over. So I was kind of just, I wasn't disappointed at him because I know he was on for about an hour and 40 minutes. But it's just the idea that I thought, what the hell, I got to come back. I can't, it's a Friday. If you are not a subscriber, subscribe for free. Become a devil pup in this channel. A lot of great people in here. A lot of people with common sense. A lot of people with questions. A lot of people with answers. Groundsky says, will take me a little time to process all of this. No doubt. No doubt. I get you. And Bridget, once again, thank you for being here. I was just over there. So the idea, Abe Rivera is in the house. Hello. Really don't know what to think about him. Part of me wants to believe him just to find Nancy, but the other half thinks he's highly in, he's highly intelligent and clever individual. No doubt. That is well said, Abe. Well said. No doubt about it. Bridget. Bridget says he said after he gets back from today, he will go live again. Carol Lee says hello, hello. Buttercup. Hi, all. Good to have you, Buttercup. Bridget, you're welcome. Thank you for covering this case. Absolutely. Absolutely. My background is and was in law enforcement, done many investigations. That's what I bring to the table. I try to give you something to see from my lens, literally from my eyes, how I would see something. I try to get you guys to understand how it works in the real world of law enforcement. I know there's a lot of people reporting, and then I know there's some people that are reporting literally that are retired FBI agents and whatnot. That's what I bring to this. That's what I'm about. Okay. And a lot of it, honestly, is common sense. No doubt. It's common sense. Okay. And then the other part is how the system is run. So that's what I bring. And I hope you guys will like this channel. I know you will. A lot of people, we've been growing, literally growing. And now it's time to go into that discussion. So I think that definitely, literally, Richard does have, and he has stated himself that he has some issues that he's dealing with of his past. You know, he laid out this big old scenario of what happened to Nancy. He laid out how it happened, who it happened, who did it, where she was taken. He answered the biggest questions you can have as an investigator: the who, what, when, where, why. And then he stated specifics. Now, I don't know what you all think, but I know he has nothing to gain by lying. Now, just because I say he has nothing to gain by lying doesn't mean that everything he said is legit. Everything he said may be legit in his mind, in his head, right? We know he was seeing a psychiatrist because he told us. We know that he was going ahead and literally he has some issues as his upbringing, childhood. And all that comes to play in the psyche of an individual, right? All that takes a play and takes a toll on someone's life. Okay. So, but he gave us a lot of integral pieces that only someone close to this individual, only someone close to the perps would know. I mean, who else could tell you where Nancy was taken, where she was dropped off, where she was put, how they did it, why they did it? Who else could tell you all that? You're either going to have someone who literally was involved in all this or someone that knew about this. Either which way, it comes out to be that it is a valuable source of information that should be checked out. Am I wrong? Gronsky, he gave almost too much info. Too much info to say he just knew about it or he just knew that was a perp. And he gave so much information to almost put him right in that spot. Bridget says, yes, I have wondered if he is delusional. A person who is delusional imagines things that are not real. However, Bridget, he did state in his mind and to us how it all happened, how it all went down. And honestly, is it probable? Is it possible? Absolutely. Is this something that was brought up a while back? That this was a satanic cult? It is probable. It has been brought up. I mean, you look at all the dynamics involved in this, and you start hearing and seeing the idea that, we had a satanic fetish festival, or whatever the hell you want to call it, party or gathering or whatnot. We had that happen in the early February, right? I think it was like February 6th, February 7th, somewhere in there. That's only a few days after Nancy was taken. Gronsky, he did not seem coach. Oh no. No, you couldn't. He couldn't repeat that same interview if he tried. And that's saying something. To not be able to give that same interview again if he tried, he couldn't repeat that same interview. Bridget, yes, everything says he is very possible indeed. No doubt. No doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. And here's the thing, everybody. So we are looking at this man who is claiming these things. Now, it's one thing to say that the perp in the front of Nancy's house, I know who it is, it's my brother. That's one thing to say. It's another thing when he tells you, this is what they did, this is how they did it, this is the reason they did it, this is where they put her, this is the type of, for a better lack of words, how they processed her. Yeah, pretty, literally verbatim. We do know that there was blood at the front door. So we do know there was an injury of some sort. We know there was a reported blood not only on the outside, but the inside of the house. Gronsky, so do all roads lead to Rome then? I don't know, but I think that if you're looking for Rome, you're taking whatever trail gets you there. You know, you're going to take whatever trail takes you to get to Rome. And in this case, you're going to follow every lead until it is disproven, especially when it is this detailed. No doubt about it. Hello, Paige. Welcome back. Hello, Paige. Good to have you. So the question is, how did he get that knowledge of knowing why they did it, how they did it, where they took her, and who was all involved? How did he get that information? I could see someone looking at the perp and saying, like we've all been saying, somebody has to know who he is or she, right? We all ask that question. Somebody needs to know who this person is. So that's not far-fetched to say he believes that is his brother. But here's where the kicker comes in. How does he able to tell you verbatim how it all happened, how it all went down, why it went down, where it went down? How would he know all those details for a fact unless exactly he was there or someone there told him details? That's what I'm saying. How would he know these things? I mean, it's just so logical. Now we say, I know they're going to have a lot of people say, well, but how do you know he's telling the truth? You know how you find out if he's telling the truth? You go where he says Nancy's at and you verify it. And either you find Nancy or you don't. And if you don't, then his story is over. His claim to fame is done. And if you do find it, well, then now it is verified. It's that simple, everybody. We're making it like it has to be something magnificent and spectacular that he has to do or that we have to do to find out if he's telling the truth. No, we just have to follow the leads. And if it comes to be and plays out that it's true, then so be it. Then we go to the next step. And if it's not, well, then, and it's a nothing burger. So you're going to either have a nothing burger or you're going to have a big ass Whopper. One of the two. It's just that simple. Bridget says, if police interview him, will they ask him that? Will they ask him? Absolutely. Those are important questions. How do you know? The first thing they're going to ask him is tell us what you know. And then he's going to go on his spiel. And then they're going to ask him, how is it that you know this? How did you get this information? And he's going to have to tell them and convince them that this is how he knows. And if he tries to say, oh, well, this is what they do. No. You're going to bring it back home and you're going to say, wait a minute. You said exactly where she's at. You said exactly why they did this. You said exactly what was the reason for this. Yeah, that's my biggest question too. How do you know all of this, says Bridget. Soaring Energy says, hey, all just got here, Sleuth, and the cops went out to the Richards house. They had a long talk, and in 2 days, he has to go to the police station. Outstanding. Thank you for that info. Kronsky, I believe this case has so many eyes looking at it, so it must likely will be solved. Lisa says, hey, Gronsky, we sure do get around. Paige, yay. Think about that for a minute, though, because they're going to ask him that. You gave specifics. You didn't just say what some people would expect someone to say who knew the perp, to say, I know that walk. I know that walk. I know that look. I know that hand injury. I know the way he maneuvers. Mrs. White's in the house. Good to have you, Mrs. White. I know his neck injury, right? They're all going to say that, right? Because they see it. But here's the kicker. He just didn't stop there. He said, I know where they put her, and he said it. I know why they did it, because of their faith. I know what they did. The ligature, remember? I know how it all went down. And then the officers are going to look at him and then say, well, how do you get this information? Did someone tell you? Where were you there? Where were you on that night? Remember, he was asked that question when Sleuth asked him that question. What were you doing during the time when you found out that this had happened to Nancy? What was his first thing he said? I don't remember. And Sleuth said, oh, you don't remember? And he said, no, I don't remember. That's a caught off guard question. That's a caught off guard move. In other words, Sleuth caught him off guard. He didn't have that question in his mind that he was going to be asked that. So he couldn't give an answer right away, right? And then he waited probably about, I don't know, less than a minute. And Sleuth said, so you don't remember where you were at? And he said, oh, well, yeah, I know where I was at. I was at my house. I was watching what was going on. Yeah, I was at my house. But he didn't say that the very first time Sleuth asked him. If you go back and look, He didn't say that. What he said was, I don't know what I was doing. I don't know where I was at. I don't know. Okay? That's a clue. Only for him to come back. Yes, totally brain freeze. Why? Because he was caught off guard with that question. And this was just a simple question that Sleuth was asking. And then not a minute later, maybe somewhere in there, Sleuth asked him again, so you didn't know where you were at? And he said, oh, yeah, I knew where I was at. Now he had time to process. What do I say? What do I say? Then he said, I was at my house. I was listening to everything that was going on. It's those little nuggets, man. Those little nuggets that only you would get when you've done cases and you have literally done your due diligence. And he said, oh, yeah. I know where it's, I know where I was at. I was at my house. I was watching what was going on. Why didn't he say that the first time? Why didn't he say it the very first time when Sleuth asked him? He didn't say it. He said, I don't know where I was at. Go back and look at it. No one talks about that little nugget there. But that's huge. An investigating officer would tear that and shred that apart. Okay? Literally, that's just one. That's just the first thing we're talking about. That's just one thing. So what I'm telling you, it's not BS, it's fact as to how an officer would probably handle that situation. And then that is that I got you moment where now you go, okay, something's here. So now you start asking them more questions and more questions. You were paying attention to the little details. Absolutely. It's what I've done in my life. It's what I used to do. I've done investigations. I've done serious investigations. I've done all kinds of investigations. You know? So for me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the big headline. I'm looking for that little thing that they just have that moment of relapse that they can't answer. And you all seen it. You may have not caught it, but you all seen it. I don't know where I was at. And Sleuth waited a little bit, and then he asked, hey, so you don't know where you were at? And then now that he had time to process, oh yeah, I know where I was at. I was at my house. Me and my dog. Me and my dog. You know that old question when an officer says, is there anybody that can go ahead and verify that you were there? Well, yeah, my dog. Yeah, right? Think about it. It's common sense, everybody. Think about it. It's only common sense when you have dealt with these type of cases, is what I'm saying. Not that you don't have common sense if you didn't figure it out. What I'm saying is, in law enforcement, it would be common sense because you just caught him in a literally moment of relapse where he was like, oh, shit, what do I say? Right? That's one. Absolutely. Correct, Bridget. Correct. Without a doubt. Experience matters. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Groundsky, this channel is getting me so much smarter. I'm just saying, those are the little things you ask. And Sleuth is not an officer. Sleuth has never been a cop. But he had the forethought to ask that question. And when he couldn't believe that he didn't know where he was at, hey, when he believed that he didn't know where he was at, what did he do? You know, he followed it up again, and then he went ahead and answered it. That's called thinking on the fly. He was thinking on the fly. He was caught off guard with a question. You know, kind of like when you remember when that towards the end of the conversation, Sleuth said, he said, well, he goes, I think we're going to have to end this. Remember that? Towards the end, he said, I think we're going to have to end this. KC, oh yeah. Remember when he said, we're going to have to end this. because I don't think uh, this is just going longer, and it seems like the people are really like are done, and and then he said something to the effect of Richard said something to the effect of, "Oh, they don't are they not like listening or anything? Are we losing people?" And he said, "No, no, no. There's a lot of people here. It's just that we're going to have to call this real quick." And then all of a sudden, what did he do? Well, let me tell you about this. The burger chef, blah, 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 blah. And then he went to the next. Now, here's how you find the name of Nancy Guthrie, blah, 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 blah. And here's how you go ahead and find the name of blah, 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 blah. You remember that? And he started literally like fast move, fast pace. Almost like what? Almost like what? Almost like he might have been the one who wrote the Burger Chef. Or this cipher, if you will, for a better lack of words. Think about it. You're very welcome. Sloot did well. He was very calm and patient through the whole interview. I was impressed with the interview. Richard was just getting started. Sleuth is off the wall. Richard was enjoying it a lot, in my opinion. Of course he was. He was getting that tension. He was getting that high, that euphoria that you get when you're a person that has gone through all these things in your mind. That euphoria was kicking in. He loved it. That's why when people started saying, he may be the perp, or he could be the perp, remember? What did he do? He responded right away and said, "Oh, some people think it's me. Why would it be me? It's not me. I'm not the killer. I didn't do this and that." You know, it's funny, and then he tries to chuckle, but inside he was irritated. He was irritated inside. That's why he was responding how what he was going through. He wanted that everybody to come into that full circle how he was delivering it. But that's not what he was seeing or hearing by reading the chats. Richard was watching the comments, precisely watching all the comments. He focused on the comments. He focused what people were saying. You know what they call that sometimes? You know what they call that? They call that someone who is literally not a narcissist, but someone who is literally um, oh God, a almost like the normal word would be like a salesman, right? But he is like a what word I'm going drawing blank here. Basically, someone a very good con man or a very good deceiver. Probably better a deceiver than a con man because a con man would try to get you to believe whatever they say. A deceiver would tell you that he's not the one, but right around give you information that says, "Oh, but then how can you not be the one if you're the one giving us the exact information on how it all went down?" Richard was watching the comments. This is why it was his plan. Paige, Richard is smart, in my opinion. Self absorbed, soaring. Richard also told Sleuth he's going to step back from social media for a while. Well, he's got to regroup. He's got to regroup. He's got to start changing everything so the focus doesn't necessarily become on him, it becomes on his brother. I bet, I bet so. Soaring energy. Now, here's the other thing you got to remember. Remember when he was talking about there was three people during the conversation. He said there was three people that were involved. I've been telling you guys that I believe there was three people from the very beginning. Literally the very beginning. I said probably no more than four, but definitely there's three people. He said there was three people. What else did he say? He said one was his brother, One was his brother's son. Remember the one that his brother named his gave him the name. I think it was Philip or whatever it was. And then his last, instead of saying Junior, he called him Richard for his dad's name. Remember that? So he goes ahead and literally says it was my brother. And then he says, I think it was Philip was his name, but he says his brother's son. He names his name, and then he leaves it at that. He doesn't tell who's the third person. And you got to ask yourself, why is he not telling anybody who that third person is? Well, it's because he doesn't have a name to give other than who it probably could be, which is himself. So what does he say? He's not saying who that third person is. He just talks about those two and how they rode their motorcycles and how they went riding like days before Nancy was abducted. Remember that? His breathing was changing, absolutely. His whole body was changing, his whole mentality. He was running on the fly. He was overexcited and nervous simultaneously, no doubt about it. Remember, he's been in weekly therapy sessions for 14 years. That's a lot of therapy. And only stopped seeing his therapist when? Just a few days ago, when he gave the interview. Richard could therapy others at this point. Well, I don't know if he could therapy, but I know that he definitely knows more than what he's saying. And when he talked about those two individuals, his brother and his son, who did he leave out? He left out the third person. Well, who is the third person? Who is it? Who else would know every detail that he gave? I'm not saying he's the one. I'm saying I'm going with the facts. I'm going with the interview. I'm going with what he has said. Who else could it be? Think about that for a minute. Who else could it be? Can be his dad or the guy named Dick who raised him. He's long gone. Could it be uncle? Well, yeah, if he's like 90-some years old, really? I don't think so. So who could it be? He wasn't prepared to answer that third question on the third person. That's why he just left it blank. But as I'm listening, I'm saying, who's the third guy? Well, it's not. Once again, it's the little details. Think about that for a minute. It's the little details. Could very well have been him. Of course, he did bring up the reward quite a bit, didn't he? But he said, I concern with my safety more than the reward. Seriously? The void of therapy. Bridget, people have looked up his brother Mike and are sharing pictures of his brother on social media. The brother does exist and lives where he said. Who else was going to know that? Didn't he say that his brother, he hadn't talked to him for a couple decades? Remember that? But he knew where he lived. That tells me he knows he had some type of, if he didn't have contact, he had some type of way of communicating with him. Let's just put it that way. Celtic Pack says, hey, how you doing, Celtic Pack? Third person is himself. Very well could be. Did Sleuth have another interview with him? Just the second one. The first one was spontaneous because Sleuth didn't know until he called in or he came on, and next thing you know, they had a conversation, right? But then the second one was the one where he started talking about the Cipher and talking about everything, who it was and where it worked and where she was at. And So yeah, he did have. So there was really two interviews, one spontaneously and one planned. But even then, he didn't have all his ducks in a row because he couldn't answer the basic question when Sleuth asked him, "Where were you on that day when Nancy Guthrie was taken?" And he said, "I don't know. I can't remember." And then a few minutes later, Sleuth asked him again, "Oh, so you don't know where you were at when Nancy was taken?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember." Exactly like that. "Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember. I was at my house, me and my dog." Think about that. This have. If I was Mike, I'd be mad at Richard too. Mad? If they were all involved, I'd be more than mad. I'd be furious, getting ready to go to jail. More than likely, if this is actually true, if it's true. Gronsky says things that we don't hear but are looking for, right? It's not always what you hear, sometimes it's what you don't hear. It's not always what you see, sometimes it's what you don't see. Celtic Pet says, okay, but he has a perfect memory, right? See, that's what I'm saying, Celtic Pet. He could tell you all these things, the 15 years of doing ciphers and burger chefs and God only what hamburger helper. He's doing all these things. He could tell you everything he's doing, everything he's going through, everything that has happened, but he couldn't tell you what he did that night until he thought about it and came back and told you a few minutes later when asked again. That's not by accident, folks. That's not by accident. At least not in the world that I used to live in. Bridget said, "Yeah, I thought it was strange." He said he hasn't talked to his brother in 20 years, yet he knows where he is, right? Nosy Rosie says, "I caught a little tidbit about him saying that he had no contact with his brother, but then he knew his correct address." Paige says, "Does anyone else feel like Nancy's case is about to break?" Yeah, I think this was probably a big lead only because of the information that was given. Not because it's been verified, okay? Still haven't found Nancy yet. So, not because it has been verified, but I'm telling you, that's why you check every lead, especially a lead that gives you that much detail. You know, if he had said, "She's in a lake somewhere," she's in a lake, they put her in a lake, threw her body in the lake, and they unalive her. Well, you can't really go after anything like that, right? Because there's several lakes, and where do you start? How do you get there? Where do you go? But he didn't say that. He said a specific lake, a specific spot, how it happened, where it happened, why it happened, the crucial, integral parts of who, what, where, when, why. Click that like, everybody. Do me that favor. Click that like. Click that like and subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Do me that favor. If you like the live, that is. Perfect memory at times, and then other times which are not so convenient, not so much. Well, of course, because he didn't anticipate the question. He was running on the fly. Page, although R said he wasn't good when rushing, he performed well after being put on a time limit, right? Right? He could tell you like the back of his hand. Who else can do that? You know, they struggle to explain things, which he did. He struggled at first to explain things until he had a time limit, and then he went balls to the wall. Think about that. He went balls to the wall. He wanted to make sure everybody had that information. He wanted to make sure everybody knew it. But that's not how he started. That is not how he started. But that's sure as hell how he finished. Is that a coincidence? Or did he have that cipher? Did he know about that cipher a long time ago? Maybe he was the author. I mean, he did put people that had authored it. Remember, he suggested it what could have been this satanic leader, builder of some satanic cult, whatever. Okay, remember he said that? I guess we can't ask that person, can we? Give information, give information that can't be asked about something, but tell people information that they can actually find. Think about that. Think about what I just said. Give information that people some won't be able to verify, like who really wrote the cipher, but give suggestions as to who did, and you'll never know, right? Think about it. If I was his brother and I was innocent, I would be out setting the record straight too. No doubt. No doubt. Hey, Miriam, good to have you. Yeah, and no, and also knows he knew and says he still does. He still does go to the same person who does his eyebrows. I wonder if that's that same person that maybe he went to because his eyebrows look pretty well done as well. Did they not? I'm not trying to pin him to this. I'm trying to give you all the facts, the little nuances that most people don't grab that really speak volume. Having tunnel vision will never solve this. How did Richard know three black bags? You're getting it, Marianne. And the netting and the weighted to weight them down with netting and black bags, three of them. How do you get that specific? Seriously? That's an eye opener, everybody. That's an eye opener. He could have said one trash bag in a net. He could have said one trash bag threw in the water and they weighted it down. He could have said they put it in a trash bag and just put it in the water. Everybody would have probably thought, well, yeah, they weighted it down. But he tells you three bags in a net, weighted down. Hello, everybody. Think about that one for a minute. Yeah, thinking pretty fast when he was rushed, no doubt. I was overimpressed at the suspicion of R. No doubt. How could you not be? Nosy Rosie says, I don't understand people dismissing him as a suspect because of his mental issue. I would argue that his mental issue or exact reason why someone would do something like this. Make no mistake, if he went through as a kid what he claimed he went through, he is a victim. If he went through what he went through as a child, he's a victim. But at some point, being a victim doesn't change the fact that you could also be involved in this type of heinous crime. It's just that simple. Meyer, my bad. Pam says hello. Hello, Pam. Good to have you in here. I cannot imagine being a victim of, yes, yep, no doubt. No doubt. Marianne, it's funny how people are saying that Bitcoin was paid and no news station is reporting, right? Especially bondage, anal. I mean, he gave you think about that for a minute. And thank you for pointing that out, Paige. Think about that for a minute. He told you specifically bondage. He told you anal. He gave you exactly what they did. How is he going to know this stuff, everybody? This wasn't something like he sat there and he was just inspired to give all this information. This was something he directly said. This is how, this is why, this is what happened. Good afternoon, Pamela. One of the streamers was at Rose Canyon Lake fishing using a camera. That was Sleuth Intuition, Pam. I was watching a little bit of that. Sleuth Intuition, the one that had the interview with Richard. No, Nosy Rosie says so true. Can't make this shit up, everybody. Pamela, hi, Double Dog 88 and Nosy Rosie. How you doing, Pam? Good to have you in here. Thank you for being here. Tori, hey everyone, what's going on, Tori? Click that like, everybody. Click that like. Do me that favor. I don't know what the likes are looking like, but let's get it going. And don't forget to subscribe if you are a new person in this stream. Don't forget to subscribe. Then Page says, plus the elderly porn. If you go looking at his Mike Bike Ride or something to that effect, it's his channel. Yeah, he has some, or his, I'm sorry, his Spike. That's it, Spike, whatever Spike. I can't even think offhand. But his channel on YouTube, and so apparently he had elderly porn. He found that, I don't know, being, it appeared that he found that being very exotic and interesting because he did have elderly porn. He's a freak, says Paige. He freaky. Freaky Friday. Elizabeth is in the house. They're saying the hair found was in Nancy's bed, right? And then someone the other day said it was found in the restroom. Go figure. But you're right, Elizabeth. I heard the same thing, that it was his bed. It was her bed that they found the hair follicle. Bridget says he said his father S8'd him on a regular basis when he was a kid and described the details of it. Once again, what does he have to gain by lying? Marianne, I heard the bed as well. So did I, no doubt. And somebody, I heard it. I heard it. And it was from somebody that follows the stream, not this stream, but follows, that does streaming, or it could have even been on TV as far as one of those podcasters, but they said it was the restroom. Maybe they just got confused, but it was the bed is what I initially heard. So you see where I'm going with all this, everybody? You can't give specifics like that. It's one thing to give a general idea, right? She was probably unalived because of her faith in God. She was probably unalived because she was a mean person to people. She was probably unalived because, it was to get back at her daughter. She was probably unalived because those are all probables, right? Those all are just probables. But when he says she was unalived because of her faith, that's specific. Think about that. We are taught we are talking to one of the perps, in my opinion. No doubt. No doubt. How do you not come with that conclusion? I mean, I know we don't have the facts to literally say that he's the one or he's one of them. But my God, if you just go with the evidence and you just go what's being said and what's being addressed, it's so hard not to come to that conclusion. It is so difficult because this is what he's saying, and all I'm doing is deciphering everything he's saying that is probable and what he's giving as factual. Imagine his mental and physical trauma scars, no doubt. Elizabeth, he knew the specific dog Nancy had. Wow, right? And I thought about that too. When he was asked, when Sleuth asked him something about, yeah, Nancy had a dog, and he said, oh yeah, I think that's what drew me to her. She had a little black. I mean, it was like creepy. He's remembering things that really not are a part of his life. Think about this. Uh, Nancy and this Robert really have nothing really in common, right? They're not like friends, they're not besties, they didn't go out to dinner. But the way he was talking about Nancy was like they were two peas in a pod. They knew each other. He knew her. He knew. That's why he felt kind of like attached to her because of the dog, the bonding of a dog. Tell me that is not like freaky? Of course it is. To be able to make it seem like you are, she was just a great person, but you really didn't know her. But she was so great. She was, she just loved animals, kind of like me. What'd you do? Do your research on this person? You had to know? Seriously? I'm just talking about the little pieces, everybody, that we normally tend to miss. I still have other suspects until further notice. That's fine, Paige. No worries, including Richard. I would sure hope Richard is one of them, no doubt. Or if not suspect, people of interest, no doubt. Bridget, in my opinion, he also said he has a dog named Spike. That explains why the word Spike is in his channel name. Correct. 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 He said, and he almost like acted like he was going to break down in tears when he was talking about Spike, because I guess that dog, if I'm not mistaken, had passed away, and he got another dog, and I forgot what the hell he said his name was, but he got another dog, but that was attributed to the channel. Something Spike. I just can't think of the first name. Somebody will say it. I want to include Nancy's neighbor Clay, so I have 5 total suspects now. Going backwards. RNTCLDLO Clay. Yeah. And until they start to literally go ahead and start to do some very serious interrogations and interviews, that's only going to grow, and it's going to grow even more and more and more and more. That's what makes cases so troubling. You can't have so many people that you're looking at, because that just means the less you're focused on the people that probably are the perps. Marianne Sleuth said that Richard emailed him and told him someone was creeping by his front door. Yeah, I think he said that was his brother, right? Didn't he say that was his brother? He put up a camera and his brother like came up, and he could tell it was his brother on the camera. He came up to the very first step of the stairs, and then he took off. And then the next time he came like almost halfway up, and he probably saw the little light, and then he took off again at a different time, if I recall right. Yeah, it probably is Duke. Thanks, Elizabeth. Appreciate that. That's it. Monterey Spike. Mary, thank you for being here. Yes, Monterey Spike is the channel. Yeah, go look at that, and you'll see some creepy things. You'll see a lot of things that are just kind of out there. Not so many things that a sane person would have. More like someone who was not right in their head or had some fetishes likely would have. No doubt about it. Paige says, I had a Pekingese named Duke once. MJM is in the house. He had said he sent colored copies to high profile journalists, and nobody answered him. I think it was Savannah's G. In my opinion, he has an obsession. Very well could be. Very well could be. I mean, that's not far fetched. I mean, he had elderly porn. I mean, let's be real. That's fact. We saw it. If you went to his channel. Yes, brother came up the stairs. I thought so. Marianne, I just heard that today. Paige, right after R installed the cameras himself. That is correct. That's what he said. Right on the money, everybody. Bridget says, yes, I remember Sleuth talking about the email he last sent him. Sounds like Richard is paranoid to me. Richard is going through a lot of different emotions right now. Probably a lot of sense of guilt. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe some sense of remorse. I don't know. Or maybe just the fact that some things went wrong and they didn't get a payday. But if it's what he's saying it is, this wasn't even about a payday. It was about a satanic ritual. Who else was by the house that was involved in these satanic fetish things that were going on during that time? Remember Kiki and the cameraman? They were both seen at that fetish, satanic, whatever in the hell you want to call it. I still don't know what the hell to call it. Do we think Richard is legit? Mary, I think a person who gives that much detailed information in his position has nothing to gain other than a reward if they can prove that he had nothing to do with this. Other than gaining a reward, there's nothing that he gains from it other than losing his claim of fame of being able to talk to somebody that will listen to him. Now, you remember he also talked about, I'm going to jump here for a second. Remember he also talked about his ciphers, that he had done some, and that he hasn't, basically, that he hasn't made no money off of them. Remember he was saying that he made no money off his ciphers. That when he asked him, like when Sleuth asked him about his, how he was doing financially, and he said, I haven't made no money off these ciphers at all. Almost like that was his whole purpose, was money. Yeah, I know you guys remember that. Monterey Spike is his YouTube channel. Yes, he did say that. I couldn't find it. I tried Monterey Spike, all one word, Monterey Spike, all one word. And it's gonna look funky at first. You have to look like a couple of pages will come up, and because I did the same thing. I was like, I don't see nothing here. But you have to look at the bottom where it tells you like who wrote or who put this on their channel, and you'll see it says Monterey Spike. Maybe the three suspects were Richard, his brother, and Michael, and his nephew. Very well could have been. Very well, Elizabeth. I mean, it very well could be. Not saying it is. I'm just saying it very well could be. Mary, it's all together, no space. Yes, that is correct. Pamela, okay, thank you, Mary. MJN, he complained about color copies. He said $60. Yeah, he said he sent them, and he asked the people that he sent, his ciphers and everything that he sent, that, if they could send him back, and they never did. Like he said, he never got him back. But the idea is that he was talking about he hasn't made any money off of them. Money is the motive, or money is a big motive for him, possibly, because he doesn't have a lot of it, because he went from rags. Remember, he was a real estate. He went from rags to riches. I'm sorry, rags to riches, back down to rags. That's the saying they always say, from rags to riches. Kiki, his YouTube channel are very dark and disturbing. Yeah. Almost like someone who literally fits the profile of somebody who would have done this, right? I mean, I'm just saying, or if not done this, been a part of something like this. That's what it looks like. Kiki, his YouTube channel video are very dark. Paige, I wish R would tell why they mutually agreed to stop therapy. That's another thing. He never gave specifics why. Just like when he talked about him and his friend who started the real estate. And he said, and Sleuth asked him, so he said, are you still doing that? And he said, no, that we kind of we just kind of things happen, and we just had to go ahead, and we kind of just let everything go, and things just happen. But he never got into detail. Never got into detail. What is his part, the guy that was his partner? Is he unalived? Did something happen to him? We don't know, because we don't even know his name. Think about that for a minute. Wouldn't it be nice to know who the company was, or the business, the real estate agency, what the name was? I know it was in Salinas, California, right? It was in Salinas. Wouldn't somebody, it'd be nice to find out what the name of the company was, the real estate, and then find out who were the partners. And then after finding out who were the partners, look up the individual and see if he's still alive or is he unalive. I'm going to have to do that tonight. That's interesting, because he never talked about him. He only talked about the things that he wanted to say, but the things that could possibly maybe open a can of worms, he stayed away, if you know what I mean. He stayed away from certain things. That's what I caught in a lot of this. Kiki Khan said he sent it to Brian Etten. That was one. The that's bugging me, no doubt. He Smiling says when he was going through the cipher with Sleuth, he said there's a 5, which is part of Nancy's address. There's got to be so many addresses that begin with 5, right? Right? How does that truly connect to Nancy. I guess it's what his mind tells him, right? I mean, it's just a good point. Unless he's the one that made the cipher up. You never know. Bridget, Monterey Spike, I misspelled it by one letter the first time I went to it. Looked where I wrote it down and spelled it right and found it. It's there, everybody, because I had a hard time finding it until I was pointed directly where it was at, right in front of me. Mary, yep. My poor head is spinning. My brain is exploding, says Lisa. He got sued and lost his business. That was because the girl from Boston that he was dating or he started seeing, um, something about they had a fallout or something and they broke up, and she said something, she did a Boston type of phrase to him. It's war or something, but said it's war, something like that or something. And she had a guy who was a brawler that she moved into that place, and he had to move out. And then she apparently sicked a brawler on him, which he cornered him in a hallway, which he said he then hammered him, literally, I mean, hammered him to a pulp. And then that the lady that he was dating said that Richard was the start of it, that caused it, that was the aggressor. And in that process, he lost his license. He lost license in real estate. He just kind of went downhill from there. Azteca Realty. I will look that up. If anybody got a chance, actually, yeah, if anybody got a chance, look up Azteca Realty and see who, if his name is on there. You might have to go back a little bit and then find out who was his partner. See if you can find out. I'll look the same, but right now I can't because I'm on the live. Did I miss anybody here? My poor head is spinning. Mary says he got sued and lost his business. Yes, he did. Gene, you're on. Yes, Gene, I am here. We are here. Come on in. I didn't like I didn't like your comment, Kiki. It was fine in my opinion. The name of the company is Azteca Realty. Azteca Realty. Hey, Gene, you get a chance, check that out. As Azteca Realty was Richard's company, his realty company that they started, him and his partner. See if you can find out who his partner's name was, and then let's see if he is still alive or unalive. Just curious, just something just clicking in my head. Nosy Rosie, I wonder why the sheriff didn't take him serious though. Well, you got to remember too, there was a lot of claims that this family had a lot of what you would call um, um, shady people. Or there's another word they use, but shady people in law enforcement. That they knew people in law enforcement that were shady, FBI, and all that kind of thing. Is Monterey Spy the guy YouTube channel? Yes, it is, Tracy. Little Red Bee, the one thread that goes through every one of these people is the satanic cult stuff. Well, because he brought that up, he made it so well known, and then certain people started fitting it, like the Gothic people that came in and did the photo shoot in front of Nancy's house, Kiki and the photographer. Jean says that she got his ass kicked by a guy. Nosy Rosie said a lot of stuff he said is so far fetched, and yet a lot of this stuff has literally come out to be at least valid. The crucial valid part that hasn't yet, because no one has really, I mean, I know Sleuth was there today, but no one has really checked as far as like law enforcement or the FBI or anything, is Nancy in the waters in that lake, Rose Canyon Lake. That would be speak volume if she was. CS, who are we talking about? Richard Nolette Jr. That's who we're talking about. Welcome in, CS. Elizabeth, he said the men's name were Holyfield. Yes. Yes, Holyfield. He first said Hollingsworth. Did you guys catch that? Elizabeth, did you guys catch that? The very first name he said when he was saying who it was, he said Hollingsworth, and then he stopped. He stopped himself. He said Hollingsworth. That was his dad's name. Remember? That was his dad. His biological father's last name was Hollingsworth. So he said Hollingsworth, and then he said, and he stopped, and then he said Holyfield. And I was only thinking of Holyfield because of the boxer Holyfield, Evander Holyfield. I was thinking of the boxer, but yeah. But he first said Hollingsworth or Hollingsworth. Yeah, that was interesting. Just a little tidbit. Little BB, Richard, and Derek from California. Very well could be. It very well could be those two. They're both from California. They're not that far apart from each other. Napa Valley, LA. They both cult fetish. Kalea was, if I'm not mistaken, was also involved in the fetish, satanic cult fetish thing that was going on. They had pictures of him. Yeah, it very well could be. CS, thanks. You're welcome. Bridget, if he started off talking about the details of the ciphers, that's probably why police thought he was crazy and didn't want to listen to him. That's very possible. No doubt about it. Don't forget, click like, everybody. Click like. Send those algorithms up. Gotta hammer the likes. And do me a favor, if you are new, please subscribe. You will love this channel, no doubt. It's all about common sense, everybody. Kiki Khan, the website domain is for sale for $249 US. The website domain. Okay. So you're talking about the Azteca Realty? Is that what you're talking about, Kiki? Did you see Sleuth? I did see Sleuth. That's why I ended my live early, and then it was only on like 25 more minutes, so that's why I went back and got back on. Yes, it was. I'm at work until 8:30 p.m. Oh, wow. Stay awake. Stay awake. Kiki Khan, I am not the same. No, I know you're not Kiki, by the way. I know that, Kiki Khan. I know that. Yeah, I know that you're not Kiki. You're someone else. I get it. But thanks for letting us know. But yeah, I kind of figured that you weren't that person. I didn't know, but I figured. Tracy says, Sleuth Intuition is at Rose Canyon Lake right now fishing with a camera. He's done already, Tracy. He's done. He went home. He got done, and then he went home. He said it was going to take him, I think he said like 3 hours to get home and get everything, because he recorded everything that he did with his camera in the lake. And then he said he would be back on later tonight. Elizabeth's in the house. Tanya, hi everyone. How you doing, Tanya? Aid, what I didn't get about the cipher was the word lagos, lakes in Spanish. And right next to it was rosa, which is a rose in Spanish. Correct. Which is Rose in Spanish, and he went all the way to the right to find Rose instead. That's true. That's true. Maybe he just didn't have all his ducks in a row. Like I said, he was running fast though, wasn't he? He was like, because he said he only had so much time, and he kept repeating, to Sleuth. I just hope we'll have more opportunities to talk because I have so much to tell you. I hope this is not the last time we get to talk, because almost like he was begging to have somebody to tell his story or his narrative or whatever in the hell he wanted to say. He's supposed to come on with the film tonight. Yes, that is correct, Gene. That is correct. Mary, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, he did. He said all that. Steph Glitter, it's scary to me. It is, no doubt. I mean, it is. It's very creepy. Don't forget, everybody, click that like. Click that like. Hit subscribe. Subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Just lets you be a part of the channel. Let you know when I'm going on live. It's a great channel to be a part of. We are growing, everybody. Just want to let you know. Thank you for everybody participating. Stephen Glitter said, I'm scared Sleuth will be a target. He definitely has to watch his 6. No doubt. He's got to watch his 6. He has to watch his 6 because Sleuth was very nice and courteous. But I wonder what happens when somebody is not to this individual. You know what I'm saying? Read between the lines. I wonder if somebody is not nice to him, do they become a target? Very possible. I'm sure Sleuth knows that going ahead, having this interview with him, but it doesn't hurt to remind, no doubt. Mary, he must have more to say. It is true. I mean, it's hard not to say that it is true because he was so specific. The only way to verify that it's true is that they're going to have to find Nancy where he says she's at. And even though he came out later in that interview and he said, honestly, he said, I don't think that we're ever going to find where Nancy's at because it's so dark down there. Almost like pulling back a little bit. And he knows if she's not there, the game is up. The jig is up, as they would say. No doubt. Nosy Rosie says, I totally agree, Steph. Jeannie, a supercell coming our way, not here yet, so I can be home. I think that's what you meant. Or so I can be on. Okay, sounds good. Let us know. Let us know what's going on. Be safe. Kiki Khan says, at one point he asked him to stop playing the video because 1/3 of NG was in the. Oh, yeah. He asked him to stop playing the video because 1/3 of NG was in the backpack and he left. He felt sick and disturbing. Almost like, well, do you think that it's possible that someone who was involved and saw that and really believed that 1/3 was in there of NG, could that bring back trauma? Like supposedly trauma that he has had all his life? I wonder. But you're right. He did say that. Steph Glitter said, like, I'm scared to look any names up or their YouTube. I don't want to be looked at by. Oh, I understand. Steph. I understand. Totally get it. No doubt. Totally get it. Nosy Rosie, especially since he said Nancy was targeting because she was, especially since he said Nancy was targeted because he was mean, because of her faith. I'm not sure I follow. Gene, he's working on the burger cipher. Yes. Yes, he is. That's what he said. Tanya, the interview room was talking about politicians putting their noses into cases and how it can cause issues. No, I did catch some of that too. You're very right, Tanya. I watched some of that. Mary Buggin, what if she is there? Man, that's a tough one. Yeah, what if she's there? I, I, he said she was unalive, or she was unalive, so I would think it's probably closer to that narrative. But it would be, I mean, if she was alive and came home and was with her family, that would be awesome. No doubt about it. That would be a story like no other. Tanya, Lisa, Jean, I can be on RN. I can be on right now, but might have to get off within the hour. You're fine. If you just pop off because you got to go, hey, we get it. We understand. Thanks for letting us know, Gene. Appreciate that. Nosy Rosie says, but how does he know that? Yeah, that's a good point. How does he know a lot of the information that he has claimed that was just information? How did he get that information? Where did it come from? Who gave it to him? How does he validate all the stuff he has claimed? Well, a lot of the stuff that he has said has been validated, but how does he go ahead and say these things if he wasn't told or was a part of it? I'm just saying what it sounds like. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, acts like a duck, it's probably a duck. Mary says, what? I missed that. What video was NJ in? Sleuth has a camera with a nice bright light. Yes, he does. Nosy Rosie says, but how does she know that? How does he know that? Rock and roll tea. Yes, it can, says Gene. Kiki Khan says, Nosy right, he was so grossed out. Probably, what if he was on some type of drugs? What if he was not in his bright frame of mind? And what if he only seen the aftermath? You know how some people, when they're so caught up in their, I'm just going to say for a better lack of words, they're into the satanic thing, or they're so psyched and so gone mentally that they do these things, and then all of a sudden they come back and they don't realize what to do. And then when someone shows you something or you see something that's similar, you start to freak out. I'm talking because of a lot of movies and stuff. You know how I'm saying? Could that be a thing that he was going through? He knows what he did. He just didn't realize what was all happening at the moment. And then when he sees it in real time, like someone's showing him, it grosses him out. I'm just saying it's very possible. Very possible. Smiling, do we know if law enforcement is talking to him? I've been told a lot here on the chat that law enforcement has been talking to him, and they having him come in a couple of days, I guess, to interview him. So that's a good thing. At least that's a start. That's all I've ever asked for. Why are they not talking to him? And simultaneously, why are they not raking the lake? In other words, why are they not sending, at the same time they're talking to him, sending divers out there to look specifically where exactly he said she was at? Steph Glitter says, makes me wonder if he was the second person that was sending the letters to TMZ. Of all places to TMZ. Yeah, it could be, though. Very well could be. You never know. He does like letters, right? He does like writing certain things. He does. I mean, I know it's in codes that he's talking about the cipher, but, you know, I'm sure he knows how to disguise his handwriting. Tanya, a paranoid schizophrenic gets things in their head and truly believe it. You cannot talk to them out of their thoughts. That's true. No, that's true. I have taken many psychological classes, and you're definitely right. The sociopath mentality, okay, is probably one of the most worst ones to have out of all the ailments, if you will, of all the oh, what do they call it? The four, the three. You know, they call them. I can't think of the damn name, but it's basically it's what is that name where they call them different, like different stages, but they call them like in the sphere of the four or the three or the two. The schizophrenic is probably the worst one because there is really not a lot to cure somebody from schizophrenic. You can treat it, but I don't think you ever cure it, to be honest. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive if I remember my college days. I thought that was well, Steph Glitter. Well thought. He was nervous, could hear a voice. Oh, here we go. Okay, Lisa Page, delusional. Steph Glitter says he was nervous, could hear in his voice and flicking something while he was talking. Yes, yes, you're right. Alternate reality, very true. Nosy Rosie, I thought as well, Steph Glitter. Paige says, and breathing. Yeah, his breathing was chaotic. He was all over the place. Gene, it's called mania. Nosy Rosie, why wait a few days though? Because that's the only thing it seems like these people do in law enforcement in Pima County and the current FBI that are involved handling this is they always want to wait. Maybe it's because it's the weekend and they got better things to do. I hate saying that, but you know what I'm saying. I'm being sarcastic there. Big kudos, delusional in thought. Can they actually act on their delusional? Probably. I'm telling you, sociopaths are like the worst thing to have because there's really not a whole lot of treatment. You can get treatment, but there's not any cures, if you will. Once again, if I remember my days of college. Yes, they showed up at his house and he's supposed to meet with them, and he and the FBI told him to stay off YouTube also. You think? Smiling. If he's had the childhood he says he's had, I guarantee you he has a lot of trauma in his body and probably has many triggers. No doubt about it. That's what I'm saying. Could you imagine if Sleuth was to tell him something like no or was a little bit more aggressive with him? Could you imagine what the response? Then I would really be worried for Sleuth. No doubt. Or for sure smiling. Sad situation, no doubt, all the way around. Elizabeth Ramirez, he has his college degree in English. Yes, he does. That's what he says. He has a college degree in English. That's what he says. And he said the only reason he got his real estate license was that he had to buckle down and just force himself to stay focused. That is true. Steph Glitter said he knew where the body was and needed enough money to stay safe. I believe he was the second one sending emails. Very well could have been. I mean, at that point, they're just trying to get anything, right? Elizabeth Stages. Yes, the stages. Thank you. Appreciate that. I couldn't remember, but yeah, there's the spectrums. There's so many different spectrums, right? There's a lot of different spectrums. That's the word I was actually looking for. Spectrums. And one of the spectrums is the spectrum of literally um, sociopath. You have narcissists. You have all these different spectrums, and that's one of the most difficult ones to deal with. Like and sub, please, says Lisa. Let's make it happen, everybody. Click like and subscribe. Do me that favor. I know you love the channel. There's a lot of common sense here, everybody. Everybody on this channel is awesome as far as I'm concerned. Mandy, when he spoke, he suctioned his top mouth. Yeah, I mean, so I would ask the question, and when I say you, I'm not saying you specifically, but so one would ask the question, if he did that, okay, just think it like a cop now. When he spoke, he suctioned his top mouth. Well, you know what they say when you start to tell, you don't, you're trying to hide the truth. So you cover everything so that you make yourself believe you're saying it, but you're covering it up so it doesn't come out. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where you're telling the truth, but you're covering it up psychologically to make you think that you're really not saying anything wrong, if that makes any sense. It's a part of interrogations. And if I did a piss poor job explaining it, I apologize. Be interesting if he tells Sleuth which side of the lake he should have access. He said by the dam. He said that I thought it was the middle. The most deepest part is where they threw the three bags in there. By the dam, on the dam side, in the middle, where it was the deepest part. Poor Nancy, no doubt. Big kudos. I know with a narcissist, if you tell them no or you reject them for anything, it can become dangerous. Yes, that is true, big kudos. That is very true. Very true. And you know, a lot of these things that these people have, these ailments, these sicknesses that they have, whether it's of whatever spectrum, a lot of these do kind of run together. They run in the same form. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be a narcissist and also be uh, uh, have an anger issue with another part of this and another part of that. So that's within the realm, no doubt about it. The body is something to do with the moonlight, and then said where that is. Yeah, Steph Glitter says, okay, big kudos says psychopath and a covert narcissist are very dangerous. Yeah. Steph Glitter says schizophrenia the most dangerous. My brother-in-law has it, and the things he's done is wild. And they told us if it wasn't against the law to not take their meds. And when he reads the Bible, it's not what he read. Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. I get you. I have somebody that I know that's schizophrenic. I'm sorry. Yeah, schizophrenic, and they're always hearing voices. They're always talking, And yeah, I've had encounters with that myself, no doubt. Not me personally, but knowing somebody. Tanya, thanks. Paige says big nose. Lisa, you welcome tea. Steph Glitter, the body is something to do with the moonlight, and then said where that is. That is correct. The snow moon, if I'm not mistaken. Something with the snow moon. Gene, but I question if what Sleuth did was enough. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's so hard to say, Gene, because he could have gone two different routes, right? He could have pressed it a little bit and not know what was going to come next, or he could have lost everything had he pressed him. Or if he pressed him, a lot more could have came out. It really so hard to say, but I tell you what, when you're dealing with somebody like with those type of issues, it's no telling where it goes. It's no telling where it goes. And it seems and it all appears that Richard had some type of fellowship or bonding, if you will, with Sleuth. So, I think Sleuth played it well, but yeah, you're right. It's always that not knowing how much to push back type of thing. Crappy world, no doubt. Elizabeth Ramirez, Tracy, where does this guy live? That's a good question. Where did he say he lived, everybody? He lived in the woods. I know that. That's what he said. He lived in the woods. Where did this guy say he lived? Does anybody remember where Richard said he lived? I'm not really sure. That's a very good, Tracy. I will look that up myself. Very good question because I'm not sure he ever stated exactly where he was. I know, I thought he said he lived, it wasn't Pennsylvania. Was it Maine? I'm not sure, Tracy. I'll definitely look that up. That's a very good question. Thanks. Appreciate that. Big kudos. A narcissist will always tell on themselves. You just have to listen and don't interrupt them. Absolutely. And that's exactly what Sleuth did, you know? So he may have played his cards right. No doubt about it. And that would explain why Richard said a lot of things that were so precise. That could very well explain why he told all those things that were very precise. He kept leading the conversation back to himself. Yes, he did. A go change. Devil Dog 88, thank you. You're very welcome. A go. Thank you so much for being here. If you like the live, please subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Just lets you be in the channel and it lets you go ahead and know when I'm going live. And we really want some really good people in here, and everybody so far has been awesome. It's just nice to have that conversation. This won't be the only case we handle. We'll be handling a lot of cases. This is just the beginning, everybody. Who is the man in your thumbnail? In your thumbnail, who is the man? That is in my thumbnail. That is is it the two picture one, because that would be the perp and that would also be um Richard. Is that the one side? Are they side by side? If they are, that's who it is. There is medication for schizophrenic. It's not always perfect, but there is no medication for narcissism. Seven Glitter, California, I think. Gene in Cali. That's definitely California. Monterey, California, Tanya says. We have to look at our 100 notes, Dee Dee. I know there's so many notes. I get it. Tracy says, I don't recall him saying. I think they're saying California. Bridget Clark, I don't remember him saying where he lived. Maybe he told Sleuth offline. That's very possible. Maybe he didn't want anybody to know where he lived because he was afraid of his life, right? So that would make sense. That would make sense. Little Red Bee, San Diego. Vic Kudos. That is true. You know when to push and you know when to not push. Back, it's all in how you approach them. No doubt about it. That is so true, Big Kudos. Richard sent Sleuth an OIC of his brother. He suspected coming up the stairs 2 times. So Sleuth's gonna show that tonight. All right, there you go. Thank you for that info, Gene. LePay says big 100%, no doubt. Bridget, Tanya, yes, Monterey, California. He has that word in his channel name. Okay, that would make sense. That would make sense. That would make sense. Richard. Weird how he said his hair was white, but he has no hair. Yeah. He was quick to say, yeah, I don't have that color hair no more. It's all white, and blah blah blah. Like he wanted to distinguish that right away, right? And then of course, yeah, then he's bald. So many little nuggets in here. I'm telling you, everybody, so many little nuggets. You just have to decipher all of them. I don't mean decipher like the decipher, but you know what I'm saying. You have to really look at the little key notes, man, the little key nuggets. He was married at one time, says Tanya. Big kudos. I was sitting on the edge of my chair when the sleuth was interviewing him, and Sleuth did the right thing. Yeah, I agree with that, Big kudos, no doubt. Gene says, if you had a chance to interview R, what would you have asked him? Whew. What would I have asked him? That is a very good question, Gene. Honestly, I'm sure. I don't think there's like one thing that I would have asked him or wanted to ask him. I think I would have did what I did, and that was take his whole delivery, his whole thing. I would have went back and I would have looked at this interview and I would have just tried to literally pick it apart. And what I have given you all so far is exactly how I probably would have played it. In other words, I would have looked at all the little things afterwards because in real time it's so difficult to catch everything. But I think the one thing maybe I would have asked him was, man, I would have definitely took it all in stride. If I was going to ask him one thing, I think the one thing I would have asked him, I probably would have asked him two things. And this is why I say this as a law enforcement officer. I think I would have asked him two questions. One would have been, where does he live? I'm going to get to you why. It would have been something simple. something he would know. Maybe not even where he lived. Let's just say I would have asked him, so hey, what food do you like the best? What is your favorite food? Okay, bear with me here. You gotta follow me. I would have asked him a question that he would know immediately what the answer is. Hey, what's your favorite food? Oh man, I love pizza. Okay, awesome. That's awesome. And then I would have asked him the question, did you have anything to do with the taking, kidnapping, or unaliving of Nancy Guthrie? Now, let me explain to you why I would have asked that. Because when I asked him his first part, what was his favorite food? Mentally, subconsciously, you're going to know what your favorite food is. You're going to say, oh, gotta be pizza. Could be Mexican food. Could be whatever. That's your brain talking, right? It's a question you know. It's a question that you can answer like right now. I would see his body language, where his eye movements are, where he's thinking, the deception. The brain has a deception part, and then on the other side of the brain, it's more like you're trying to deceive. You have different parts of the brain that tell you what you're trying to do. The rolling of the eyes, the looking up, you're thinking of what to say. All of those things that I have learned in law enforcement. I would have asked him a basic question, something as simple as, "Man, what is your favorite food?" And then I would have came with the jugular. Did you have anything to do with the abduction or knowing or taking or unaliving Nancy Guthrie? And I would have watched his expression. I would have watched his eyes. I would have read his movements. I would have watched his hands all simultaneously. And I would have been able to read exactly if he was telling me the truth or if he was bullshitting me, lying to my face. And then I would have known if I had something there. See, in law enforcement, you always, when you interrogate and you interview people, you set them up to ask the basic questions, right? Things that they would know. And you do this multiple questioning because you want to get the same results, What's your favorite food? Hey, what was your biological dad's name? What you say your biological dad's name was? Um, hey, you know, do you like motorcycles? Stuff that he would have been able to answer, and I would have read his body language. And then I would have asked him the toughest question of all. Did you have anything to do with the unalive, with the kidnapping, with the taking, with knowing about what happened with Nancy Guthrie? Any of those things. And I would have watched him look and I would have read him to the T. And then I would have known we got something here or maybe we don't. That's my best way I can answer that, Gene. I hope that helps. That is true, when to push and when not to push. Richard sent Sleuth the OIC, Tanya, Monaco, California. He was married once. Trying to find out where I left off, everybody. Monterey was in the room. We are devil pups. Yes, you are, Paige. You are all devil pups. Little Red Bee, yes, not San Diego. Sorry, no worries. Dee Dee Way says, "Devil dogs, you keep getting more views. You're up to 55 now. You are up to 55 now. I am Kenny. There were times it was just me and you chatting." You're definitely right, Kenny. You're definitely right, my friend. I remember you, Kenny, and I thank you for being here, bud. I really do. I remember the people from the beginning and where we've come. I'm telling you, we are growing. And it's all because of you, everybody in here. No doubt. Thank you so much, Kenny. DD Ways, appreciate you. Stephen Glitter, I wouldn't have interviewed. I would have ran and changed all my socials. Little Red B, he was working as real estate agent in Salinas. Yes, he was. Tanya, yes, he was literate, livid. He never mentioned hospital mom much. Never. He didn't mention his mom, I don't think, maybe one time. That, and I think that was in a negative tenth because he said something like mom was uh mom, like something like mom made this happen, or mom was a part of this whole thing, or something to that effect. Lisa Page, 55 views. Big kudos. He might save his head. He might shave his head. Save it, shave it, and save it. Yeah. Tina's in the house. Hello, Tina. Good to have you. Thank you for being here. Tanya, he said he lost that business after getting into a fight with a brawler, a guy his landlord girlfriend moved in. Yes, yes. He was a brawler, he said, and he said he hammered him to a pulp. He had nothing to do. He felt like he was a caged dog, like he was cornered, and he had to do whatever he had to do. And then he justified it by saying, I don't know if you guys caught this, but he justified it by saying, I had to do what I did. He was telling Sleuth, I had to do what I had to do because it was me or him. I had to do what I had to do. Almost like justifying how extreme he went. You know what I mean? Because I will tell you this, it had to be a really bad beating for them to be able to turn the page on him and him to lose everything. Like at some point in law enforcement, when you're working cases like this, at some point, you have the upper hand. You have the situation under control. You have to pull back, right? You can't continue to beat down somebody, okay? At some point, if they cannot respond, you have to pull back. But, that's just it. Otherwise, you become the aggressor and you will be dealt with. And I think that's exactly what happened. There is an Azteca Realty in San Diego. Interesting. Thank you, Little Red B. Lisa says 61 now. He said he lost the business after getting. Yes, he did. There is an Azteca Realty in San Diego. Nosy Rose says, good questions. Much heart, no doubt. Tanya, do you think a lie detector test would have worked on him? I'll tell you what, I think it would have been difficult for a lie detector to work on him because of all the medicines that he has taken, because of his mental state, and really because of his belief in whatever he believed in his head to be true. You know, it would be hard to try to have your taking a polygraph would be difficult to be able to read because you don't know where you're getting it from. Is it because of a lack of meds? Is it because of his meds? Is it because that's why you would have to gauge it? There's a series of questions you would ask and you would see how he responds. And that's what they do when they do a polygraph. They ask you a bunch of questions. They set the tone and they gear your responses to, or they gear your responses to the computer itself, to the polygraph. And then they ask you another set of questions and they see how you respond to those questions. And they can tell literally, um, if you're lying or you're trying to deceive or you're trying to BS or whatever the case may be. The point is, I think he would fail in a heartbeat because of his trauma, his experiences, everything he's been through. I think he would fail in a heartbeat because that would play into it. And that's why a polygraph for someone like him would be very difficult, to be honest. Yeah, that would be a good one. That would be a good one. A good question would be, why haven't you given a DNA sample yet? I guess if I was responding to that, I would have my response would have been, because ain't nobody asked me, right? I would say nobody asked me to give a DNA sample. And then what do you say, Janice? And then later they come to you and say, "Hey, can we have a sample?" Well, now you asked me, so no. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that is a good outside the box question. Thank you so much, Janice. Appreciate you. Yeah, I really don't think a polygraph would have worked on him, to be honest. He spoke about his trauma so fluently as if he experienced it yesterday. That's how much it impacted him. No doubt about it. You're 100% right. Law enforcement is involved already. Cops went to his house, and Ellie wants to interview at station, which they should. No doubt about it, MJM. They should do it because they have to have a place where he feels not at his safe haven. They have to, that's why usually they always have you come to the station, because now you're in their setting. Now all the unknowns are coming. Now your mind is thinking, oh God, what are they going to ask me? What are they going to say? This and that. Even if you did nothing wrong, you're like, oh my God, like what is going on? You know? And now they have the right perfect setting. So yeah, that was a smart move, no doubt. I'm glad they're at least doing it now. Should have done it a long time ago, but hey, now it's better than never. He said, it affected me. Janice, that kind of trauma stays with you for life. It does. It really does. Tanya, the trauma never leaves a person no matter how much therapy they go through. That is very true. Tanya hugs Lisa. Tina's in the house, says he said his mom put a bad thing on a. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's what it was. Yes. Thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate you clarifying. Yeah, she's the one that put that, that device in the plane that took it down. I forgot what plane that was, but yes, you're exactly right. Thank you for pointing that out. I knew it was something negative. I just couldn't think of what it was. That's the only time he mentioned his mom. Back T. Then he snapped after the fight. Yes, Gene said. Then he snapped after that fight. Yes, he did. And his dad says, and his dad, hey, sorry. And his dad saying was, get your money's worth. Yes, it was. He said that numerous times. And what is he doing, or what was he talking about when he wasn't? When he was saying he wasn't making no money off his ciphers. Remember what was he saying? He's more concerned about his life than he is the reward. But the reward definitely is on his mind. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said it, right? No doubt. Cannot imagine. Lady Cat, hi everyone. Good to have you, Lady Cat. Did Nancy suffer? Whew. You know, I would pray to God that she didn't. And that's something we'll probably won't know until this perpetrators are caught. But I would hope to God she didn't. I would hope that if she went unalive, that the pacemaker would have just gave out, and that would have been the end. That would probably have been the best way to go, in all honesty, and not have to deal with all. If there was torture, we don't know, but if there was, she didn't have to go through that pain. Tanya says thanks, because I thought the same thing. His mind is constantly racing. Gene, I wonder why he's not with his therapist anymore. Be nice if we knew who the therapist was. Maybe we could find out if she was unalive. It's nothing surprises me anymore in this case with everybody that seems to be involved. It takes a long time to get comfortable with one. No doubt. It does take a long time. There's a lot of trust building that has to take place. Hey, stop it. Lisa, no, thank you, Big, for great explanations. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Maybe she called him out, Gene. It's very possible. Janice, he would have voluntarily given one. There is no excuse. He is coming forward with all his information. I agree. Ugh, I just hate all of this so much. No doubt it's not a very pleasant. This would be a very difficult case to work. I'm not going to lie, but once again, you'd have to do the legwork. You have to do the legwork. You have to make those decisions, and sometimes you just got to keep plugging away until a lead opens up, and then you follow it. Gene says Claire was asking a question. Claire, where are you at? Let me see where. Oh yeah, I was like Claire, where Claire? Yeah, no, she was asking something. I tell you, she's a little barker, man. Big kudos. They believe in their own lies and delusions, and it becomes their reality. That is true. That's why it also would be so hard to do a polygraph on someone like this, because a lot of it too is if you believe in your head that you're telling the truth, the whole point is the conscious, the brain, how it works. So if you believe, hey, you know, I didn't do it, and you know how to keep your composure and know how you keep your breathing patterns and everything, yeah, you can beat the polygraph. Make no mistake. But I just don't think with all his fidgetiness and all the stuff he's been through that he would be able to do that. Yeah, Big Kudo says they believe in their own lies, delusions, and it becomes their reality. That is true. So when you ask them a question, it's their reality. It doesn't matter about the truth anymore. Janice, didn't he say he shaved all his brown hair? You got you gotta wonder, did he think he left a hair sample? Very possible. Very possible. He said he has gray hairs now, says little red bee. Janice, interesting little red bee. Mention cabin. He mentioned a cabin. Yes. In the woods. Yes. A psychic mentioned a cabin that they had her in a basement and then moved her again. You're right. You're definitely right. I remember that. She said that it was she called it a cabin, and then she said something like by a farm barn or a barn or something, and they moved her. Yes, I remember that. I do remember that. That is true. Good point there, Gene. I do remember that now that you said that. Little Red Bee, he said he had a teardrop camper that he toured the country in. Yeah, and it makes you ask you, what was he doing all over the country? And who could he have been? Well, I don't want to say it, but who could have been gone missing or unalive? Claire giving her opinion. Yes, she is, Lady Cat. No doubt. Bridget, when you actually believe in your mind what you are saying is true, you will pass the question as truthful. Absolutely. Absolutely. The key is you have to literally, this is why they tell you, when you come and take a polygraph, they tell you, do not eat anything. Do not drink anything other than water, but do not eat anything. Do not take anything like 2 hours before your polygraph. Do not do any of those things because they want you at your point where you're not going to be like this, right? But a smart person would know how to go ahead and literally prepare themselves, let's just say, for the better lack of words. Big Kudo said, "Did he mention anything about his mom?" I don't remember really anything other than the bomb, the placing of the thing in the airplane that went off, and it may have been something else, but I know it was negative. It was something to do with his upbringing and who he blamed or something to that effect. or that his mom didn't do anything to help him when he was being abused or something. Did he mention anything in his mom? How anyone could hurt anyone in that manner, I can't believe it. I know. Tell me about it. No doubt about it, Tina. That is so true. Pretty sure it happens more than we think. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. This just got a lot of feedback because of the fact of who the mother was and who the daughter was, basically. Yes, there you go, Tanya. The mom was involved in that's it. The mom was involved in the business too of the cult and unaliving people and sacrifices and all that. You're right. I knew it was negative, just couldn't place it. Pretty sure it happened more than you think. At least be grateful, everyone. It helps. Amen. Sounded like everything is involved in some type of crime, right? No doubt. Tanya Tanya says, and that his mom probably lured. Yes, yes, that's it. Yep. Also lured his real father Hollingsworth on a date, and then Dick killed. Yes, unalived him. Yes, no doubt. That is true. I do remember that. God, there's so much out there. So, Gene, when you asked me about the question that you asked, what question would you have asked if you were interviewing? You never responded with what you thought of the answer. And if you did, I didn't see it. What did you think of the answer when you asked what question I would have asked if I was doing that interview? I'm just curious to know. Because the whole point when you're interviewing somebody, you're trying to get something that is not easy to get. But you have to set it up with something in a way to go ahead and get that answer or to be able to read that body language to get that answer. Does that make any sense, everybody? Man, it's been a great chat. It's been a great chat. You guys have been all splendid, awesome, great, wonderful. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Is asked him, do you hate your mother? Tanya said, ask him, do you hate your mother? Big kudos. Do you think he's in a temporary psychosis? At this point, literally, big kudos. It could be many things, honestly. It could be so many things. And to give anything out there would be indigenous of me to do so. But I would say it's a good possibility. It's a very good possibility. Step 4 of AA is take a searching and fearless moral inventory. Amen. Amen. Everybody, that's where we're at. Now, we'll continue to hammer this home. You very welcome, Paige. You very welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. And I hope we all learned something. No doubt about it. Meow. Little red bee said meow. Lady Page says Semper Fi. Oh, Lisa Page says Semper Fi. So I guess at the end of the day, this is either going to go one way or the other. Either he's going to be found to have been truthful for the most part or not truthful at all. Marianne says they always say if there's three people, one will say something. Well, I believe he is the third person and he is talking now. That is very true. Very true, Marianne. Woof woof, says Tanya. Woof woof. That's the dog pound. That's the devil pops dog pound. Woof woof. So no, guys. Honestly, on a serious note, not like this wasn't serious. Didi says, I've seen this before in a Delphi case. A man went on several interviews claiming his dad was the murderer. He would tell stories on how his dad abused him. It was weird. He was convinced. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Lady Cat says, did they explain why Savannah not on the Today Show today? No, they didn't. You know, I wonder if the other day when she left and then came back at the very end, just wonder if she got some news that who they thought. I don't think they would have told her who they thought did it, but I wonder if she had. I don't know. I hate to say if they told her who their main suspect is, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't even tell the person that, right? They would just solve it, and then when they you hear the breaking news is when you know that's exactly what happened. You know, that's when we're gonna know who did what, when, where, why, because well, breaking news, they got a suspect in the Nancy Guthrie abduction. What I'm thinking, Savannah off on Fridays. That could be two. They do that a lot. A lot of these TV analysts, hosts, they'll do that a lot. Tanya Didi, the way he talked, Dad faked his death and is still alive and could be the mastermind. Yeah, that's something scary to think about, no doubt. Lady Pay, Lisa Pay says, "My poor brain." Marianne, she wasn't on last Friday either. Yeah, I think they take the weekend off, kind of like an early weekend, kind of like a good schedule to have, really. Didi, Tony, I can't even waste my time to watch it. He's clearly mentally ill. No, he's definitely ill. There's no doubt about that. But he may be mentally ill, but he also may be trying or going through some type of remorse where he wants to just let it all out. And that could be a positive for the Guthrie family, no doubt about it. Did I say who's Tony? I said Tanya. Yeah, right. Because Didi said Tony. It's Tanya, Tony. It's Tony. It's Tanya. Didi waves. It's Tanya. Oh my God. Oh Lord of mercy. Tanya, Lisa, I've been calling Tony all day. Hey, I'm getting better, so stop. Didi waves. Sorry, Tanya. It's okay. But yeah, that's where we're at, everybody. I mean, anything else? Anybody else think of anything? Anything? Any questions? Maybe somehow he deep down has a conscience and feels he needs to tell all. It could very well be. It very well could be. Elisa says happens all the time, Didi. It does. I know. Um, yeah, it's just this is a like I said, guys. This is a tough case, ladies. This is a tough case. In all fairness to the people that are handling this case, it's a lot easier to sit back and analyze and break it down than it is to be right there in the moment and know handle everything just right, just for whatever that's worth. Bridget Clark, I don't know. I hope so. MJM, has anyone found pics of MN? Tanya, the group in Righteous Monkeys chat call me Tony all day. Well, here we're fixing that. We're making it better, Tanya. We're making it better. We are making it better. Making it better. Trust me, the guy's family is not involved. Ah, hang on, everybody. There we go. I had a little glitch here. Sorry. Okay. Hmm. Tanya says, T. Trust me, the guy's family is not involved. He's mentally ill and he's wasting law enforcement time. I mean, that's possible. It is possible. I can't say no because I really honestly don't know for a fact. I can only go by what literally what everything is telling us, how everything is unfolding, what is being said. So you have to understand that in law enforcement, that's all you can do is take what is given and run with that because that's all you have until it's either disproven that it's not a fact or that it is not true, or you go ahead and get the fact that, hey, we did find the body. My phone thinks it knows what I want to say more than I do. Oh, that's funny. Little red bee up and on. Trust me, I try not to say that phrase. Bridge, Bridge says, Bridge Clark says his family may not be involved. Maybe he just believes that they are because of their past. He hasn't given us real proof. No, he's given us. Well, he's established some validity to the things that he has said. To some things, most of the things he has said, but the crucial nuggets, okay, hasn't been proven or disproven, and that is Nancy in the lake? Was she in three different bags put in the lake? You know, was his brother involved? You know what I'm saying? Those big nuggets, we haven't been able to validate those. But his where he lives, um, you know, some of the I mean, some of the things are valid, but they're not the crucial nuggets, if you will, if that makes any sense. Tina, politicians need to keep their nose out of it because of the defense will pick their involvement apart, calling it favoritism. Very true. Very true. If you're able to verify what he claims, that means it's public info. Okay. Rich Clark, you're right. I agree. Tina, there is no favorite here. We need help. That is true. We could all use a little help. We have a tornado warning. Rockford, Illinois. Have to take shelter. Be safe. Prayers are with you. Gene, be safe, Gene. Prayers are with you. Let us know. Send me, if you can get a chance, send me an email. Let me know everything's good on your end. Thank you. Take cover. Don't forget, everybody, hit that like. Do me that favor. If you are watching and you're wondering, man, is this a good channel? I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Because I tell you what, when I watch people's lives, I just don't see this live out there. That's just me. Thank you. I'm in the lunchroom. You got it. Just let us know. Do me that favor, please. Thank you. Prayers are with you. Mary Ann, I feel if L.E. didn't believe what he is saying, would they really speak to him? No. No, I don't think they would speak to him if they didn't believe him. Or maybe they're getting so much coverage. This is getting so much coverage that they have to go ahead and do and at least talk to him so they can say they made contact with a potential suspect or a potential witness or a possible lead, you know. Gene says, now I can be here. Yay! Welcome back. Janice, I like it because the chat is small and you can follow the people are saying and you can talk with the host. That's awesome. I love it too, Janice. Make no mistake. I love it. I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy just, bringing out that food for thought and trying to give you guys, as well as myself, hearing things that I've never really thought about before. Because as much as you guys are learning from me, I'm learning from you all as well. So thank you all as well. Tanya says, are you under a table, Gene? Gene says, thanks, Janice. We strive to please, want a happy place. No doubt. No doubt. Too much can just as what my brother used to say, too much can be just as bad as not enough. You got to have that happy medium. That was one of my older brothers saying. Too much, he always tell me, too much, brother, can be just as bad as not enough. You got to have that medium, that happy middle. I'm in a metal building with cement. There's so many tornadoes going on all over. I mean, I know we had some here in Ohio. I mean, close. Matter of fact, yesterday we had a tornado warning right here in the area that I live. We never get that. It always either goes around or something, but this was like the only county that they were talking about. And I was like, wow. If I hear if I hear loud, I get under a table. Hold on. A toy. That is good. Janice, I watch larger podcasts, but it's rare I will chat. It moves too fast. Yeah. Yeah, no, I sometimes I'll say something or I'll put something out there and I'll never get a response. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Whatever. Moving on. Enjoy it while you can. The channel will grow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kenny. I appreciate you. DD Waves. Appreciate you. And yes, it is growing, everybody. I'll give you some numbers here in a little bit. I'll give you some numbers. Gene Prayers, how I live in Arkansas. And we seem to be having more in my area, northwest corner, close to Missouri. Over, we had one 2 year ago, and it really messed things up. Oh, no doubt. Even if it gets big, we will always be down to earth. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. That's how we roll, everybody. That is what our signature is. That's how we do things, And everybody, I try to read everybody's comment. If you're here, I try to read your comment because I think you deserve it to be read. No doubt about it. I love Arkansas. I would go through there on my way to Texas. When I worked in the oil field out in the West Coast, I used to travel through Texas, but I would travel from Ohio and I would take the Indiana and go that route, and it would take me right through Arkansas as well, Little Rock, in that area, and I knew exactly where I was going to, stay overnight, or if I was going to. Believe me, I've driven many times from Ohio to Texas, straight through all the way to the oil rigs. Literally when I was working in engineering. So I've done a lot of things in my life. Very proud, no doubt. But yeah, know that area very, very. Like I said, passing through. Tanya says there's a lot of respect for one another in this channel. Amen. Thank you for those positive words, Tanya. Try to do the best we can, all of us. Lake Norfolk in Mount Home. Lake Norfolk in Mount Home. It is okay, but we are growing tremendously. I moved to Bentonville 31 years ago and it was 18,000. It's now almost 60,000. Wow. Yeah, got to grow somewhere. Bridget Clark says, I like how you try to read everyone's comments. It makes people feel heard. Amen. I always believe that. Always believe that. Read it. If somebody's in your live or in your stream or in your chat or whatever, read their comments. It's just a thank you to them because I would want my opinions to be heard and read as well. I love the fact that you take time to read everyone's comments. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Marianne. No problem. Down south, hot, muggy, and buggy, California is my home, not ever moving. Yep, that's where I went to the military. I was stationed in Camp Pendleton, right outside of Oceanside. Lived in San Diego. It was amazing. I need to go through my notes so I can ask questions. Maybe tomorrow night I can look at them. All right, Gene. No worries, no worries. Yes, Bridget, it does. Amen. Big kudos. When I watch a channel and I can receive knowledge and awareness, I subscribe. Thank you, big kudos. Appreciate you and appreciate all your knowledge, my friend. Oh, nice little red bee. I've never been there. I would love to see Cali. Love it. I love Cali. Yeah, it's a different. But then again, I love the fast pace. So for me, it's what I'm used to. Being here in Ohio, it's so slow for me, but it is what it is. We have Walmart and it literally takes over everything. I want a little more country. Yeah, Ohio's country. Don't get any more than Ohio. I mean, it's little towns everywhere. James, we call them out then if they're involved. Absolutely, James. No doubt about it. Gene, we try to keep up on stuff. I'm trying to remember uh what Daphne was saying on her stream today. Bridget Clark, Janice, thumbs up. Little Red Bee, Gene, I was born here, first generation. Wow. Congrats. Yeah, there's a lot of this channel is growing. That's just no doubt about it. We just got to remember who we are, the respect we give to each other, and try to put out the truth as best we know it, as best we can, decipher it, and hope to God that when we make mistakes, we're able just to clean them up and move on. Simple as that. I live in the middle of the corner field. Yeah, we got fields everywhere here in Ohio, Gene, no doubt. I am moving with Gene, laughing out loud, says Janice. You will have to move to New York if you want fast pace, right? I get you, Marianne. I know. I've only been there a few times to New York, but yeah, nothing like California. Gene says, in boring Illinois. That's how I look at Ohio, Gene, in boring Ohio. Nothing but flatlands, the plains. Unless you go south down by Dayton into the corner of Ohio, of South Ohio, where you meet up, where it borders up to West Virginia, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania in that little corner, you know. It's just crazy. Better born in Arkansas. Oh, all right, everybody. That's why I love to travel. Oh, no doubt. Traveling, it can be fun, but man, I tell you, when I used to do it all the time, man, I could do it literally. Like I said, I could drive straight through from Ohio all the way to Laredo, all the way to past San Antonio to Laredo, out there in the middle of nowhere, literally nowhere. Drive straight through. It'd take me about a day and a half, and I'd get there, but I'd be tired as all get out. And no more. Body will not do that no more. Taz, where are you from in Ohio? Northwest, Taz, Northwest. I am Northwest Ohio. Taz says in Fowler, Ohio. Another Buckeye. I take it. Hoorah! Except I'm really a Penn State fan. Always have been since I was a kid, old enough to understand football. I've been Penn State all my life. But yeah, when it's not Penn State, I root for Ohio State. Absolutely. My best friend and I put 4,000 miles on her car in 2022. Wow, that's awesome. If you are new to the channel, subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just let you know when we're going live. This group is amazing. I'm telling you, everybody. I'm not saying that because it's our channel. I'm telling you because it's fact. This group is amazing. Well, very much respect in this channel. Are you by Akron DD or Streetsboro? I would say I'm more probably, without giving it away, I'm right by the Michigan border. Right by the Ohio Michigan border. In that area. Yeah. Gene, I am right by the close to the Ohio Michigan border. And actually, Ohio Michigan border, and to be honest, also right close by the Indiana border. Yes, way up there, no doubt. Shirley, I'm from Missouri, but have been out here in New England or Northeast Oregon, for most of the years now, and I love it here. I bet it's pretty, no doubt about it. Old, old Gasper. Pastor, hey Didi, is your thumbnail a pic of Richard Nolette? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Edgar. It is a picture of Richard Nolette Jr. and the perp at the front. Tanya said, Oregon is my bucket list. Gene, hi Shirley, my oldest son lives out there by you. Marianne, I went to the Hall of Fame in Ohio a couple of months ago. You want to know something crazy? I lived here other than when I was in the military. I lived here all my life. Well, I can't say all my life because I lived in Missouri and I have lived in Oklahoma, uh, but eventually made it back home. Um, but you know what's funny is I've never been to the Football Hall of Fame. I love football. I'm a football enthusiast. I'm a sports enthusiastic. I love sports in general, period. But I have never been to the Hall of Fame, to the Canton Hall of Fame, and it's right there. It's only like a couple hours away from me, maybe 2.5 hours, and I haven't even been there. Go figure. I'll make it there someday, though. I'll make it there. Shirley Dotson, I live in the Gorge. In the Gorge. Where's that, Shirley? Gene says, boo back to work. Well, you have a good one. We're getting fixing to end this anyway. It's been nice chatting with everybody. Great to have all of you here. I want to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. Yeah. Cleveland, Ohio. I tell you what, Ohio's got a lot of things. Don't misunderstand me. They do have a lot of things. Uh, but yeah, Cleveland Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio Football Hall of Fame. I mean, and there is a lot of stuff here. It's just once you've been exposed to the fast pace in a big city, for me, especially in the Marine Corps, just didn't get any better. Boardman, Oregon. There you go, Boardman, Oregon. Marion, it was awesome. Close to Pendleton, Oregon. Got you, Shirley. Awesome. Marion, I am a sports girl. Awesome, Marion. Love all my sports. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey. Yeah, love it. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and call it for the night. We've been on for a while. Just want to let you all know I appreciate you. We have cheap trick from here. We have a cheap trick from here, says Gene. Oh my God, I'm from Canton. Oh, there you go. Miss Me says she is from Canton, Ohio. Awesome, another Ohioan. Marianne, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was awesome. That's what I hear. I haven't even made it there yet either. Missing me, I went to Glen Oak. For some reason that sounds familiar. Glen Oak. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss the case. You're welcome, Little Red Bee. Thank you for this opportunity. The band, DD. Amen. All right, everybody. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I'll probably be coming out tomorrow again. I try to come out as much as possible because you all make it happen. And I appreciate you all's knowledge and all your all's, you know, literally searching for information, searching for the truth. And that's what it's all about. You know, when you do the things the right way and you try to do the right thing, God blesses you always. I just have to throw that in there. So with that, everybody, appreciate you all. Thank you for joining. All the new subscribers, thank you, because God knows we have a lot of them. And let's just keep plugging away. Make sure you go on your chats, pass our channel around to months everything. Still haven't forgot about the cups and the hats and the shirts. Still working on that. So just go ahead and know that that'll be done. Yeah, we'll get her done. We will get her done. Bye, chatters. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye for now, Bridget. Have a great night, everyone. Have a great night. All y'all, thank you once again. Remember, if you remember anything, remember this. Everything is common sense. You just got to use your common sense. And the only thing I can add to that is the knowledge from law enforcement. That's the best I can do. That's the difference between me and a lot of other people. Just saying. That's what it is. You all make the channel. You all make it happen. Keep up the good work. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you to all the moderators. Thank you for everyone being here. And like I said, Godspeed. God bless. Be safe. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Probably in the 9, 10 o'clock or somewhere in there, and probably later in the evening. With that, it's all common sense, everybody. Semper Fi to all my devil pups out there. God bless. Ow. Woof.